Good, happy Thursday evening, December 10, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Thursday evening, so let's begin. First up, we're going to begin with New Hampshire COVID information, new updates and data. Let's take a look at that right now. And here is a look at that information for all of you right now. There are 27,592 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 15,386,564 number of people in the United States have tested positive. 570 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 851 number of people have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 373 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. And now let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where current cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 934. Let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where total cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 4834. Now let's take a look at these three charts here. Let's start with the first chart here. New cases each day in New Hampshire in the purple. Daily new positive COVID-19 cases. Orange, new hospitalization. And red deaths. Let's take a look at this chart here. Current cases. The purple, total current COVID-19 cases. And in the orange, current hospitalization. Let's take a look at this chart here. Total cases. In the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases. Orange, total hospitalization. Red deaths. And blue recovered. Let's take a look at this chart here. Positive PCR test rate and daily PCR test. Let's take a look at this chart here. Age group of cases, female and male of cases, and risk information. Let's take a look at this chart here. Infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. Let's take a look at this chart here. Deaths, percent of New Hampshire population, race/ethnicity of cases, and hospitalizations. And a reminder, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, difficult breathing, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. 14 new COVID-19 deaths and 14 new New Hampshire long-term care facility outbreaks announced. There have been more than 28,000 known coronavirus cases in New Hampshire, officials say. 14 new deaths were attributed to COVID-19 on Thursday as community transmission of the coronavirus continues at high levels in the state. Of the 14 victims, 13 are associated with long-term care facilities. It was also learned Thursday that New Hampshire House Speaker Dick Hinch died Wednesday of COVID-19. There have been 584 total deaths in the state since early March. Lori Shibbiton, Commissioner of New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services, said 3 outbreaks in long-term care facilities had been closed, but there are 14 new outbreaks, meaning there are at least 30 active outbreaks in the state. There are 248 COVID-19 patients currently hospitalized in the state, the highest such number to data. Hospitals have begun to make changes as COVID-19 continues to put strain on the healthcare system. Some hospitals have started to pull back a little bit on some of their elective surgeries and procedures. We've heard over the past week. We commend them for doing that. That's tough decision that has to be made, Governor Chris Sununu said. Sununu said officials could open 5 surge facilities within about 48 hours if hospital capacity becomes a concern. Luckily, we're not there yet, but we do stand at the ready, Sununu said. In the past week, 40 Granite Staters had died of COVID-19, according to Dr. Benjamin Chan, the state epidemiologist. Chan announced there were 695 new diagnoses, including 382 patients who tested positive through PCR testing, and 313 cases confirmed through antigen testing. He said the state has seen about 750 and 800 new infections daily over the last week. More than a quarter of the state's 28,000 plus known cases since the beginning of the pandemic have been announced in December, 7,430. Chan said the combined test positive rate, which takes into account PCR and antigen tests over the past 7 days, is about 9%. Talked at length Thursday about community transmission of the virus. Without a high level of compliance for mask use, social distancing, avoid social gatherings, avoiding travel, especially around the holidays, the rates of infection and spread within our communities will likely increase, Chan said. He said that fewer than 5% of the state population has been exposed to COVID-19 and developed some level of immunity, meaning that a large percentage of the state is still substantial to the virus. Without high compliance to mitigation measures, the numbers are likely to continue to go up at a concerning rate, Chan said. It continues to be a collective responsibility of individuals, businesses, communities to protect our institutions and to protect the vulnerable individuals in our state. Late New Hampshire House Speaker Dick Hinch died of COVID-19, autopsy shows. Hinch had faced questions about COVID-19 cases that arose from a meeting last month. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9.
Snow piles up quickly. Remove it just as quickly with Kubota subcompact and compact tractors. Our #1 selling tractors are built in.
Newly elected Speaker of the State House, Republican Dick Hinch, died of COVID-19. That announcement just coming out from the New Hampshire Attorney General's office, based on an autopsy performed by the state's chief medical examiner. Hinch was just elected as Speaker last week after winning his 7th term as state representative for the town of Merrimack. WMUR political director Adam Sexton joins us on the phone right now. Adam, why don't you just go ahead and walk us through what are the sentiments right now up there in the Capitol?
Well, Mike, this stunning news yesterday now topped with this revelation that the chief medical examiner performed an autopsy and it determined that Speaker Hinch died of COVID-19. It's just sent a shockwave through the State House at this point. People still mourning this loss of a well-liked and, I should say, loved politician. Dick Hinch was all about the relationships, being able to form bonds, not just within his own party, but across party lines. Very well known there in a Republican Party, in a caucus at the State House that was fracturing in some ways. He was able to hold it together. But this revelation today of the COVID-19 diagnosis, another shockwave for the State House. Not clear yet how or when he contracted the illness. I've spoken to several lawmakers who were involved either involved in or observing a Zoom call of a joint legislative facilities committee, a call on Tuesday in which the speaker participated remotely but did not come on the call with video. He had now acting Speaker Sherman Packard voting on his behalf, and it was said that he was feeling ill, and no one kind of knew how serious it was, but the sense developed yesterday that it was something very serious, and then that stunning news Wednesday afternoon that he had passed. Some timeline here. November 20th, there was a Republican caucus in Manchester. An unspecified number of COVID-19 cases arose from that event. It's typical in those kind of settings for all of the reps, and they voted to nominate Representative Hinch for Speaker of that meeting. Once that happens, it's typical for all of them to congratulate him, surround him, shake hands. So he would have come in contact with almost all, probably, of the 213 Republicans elected in November. And it's not clear at that point if that's potentially when he was exposed or when he fell ill. December 2nd, last week, Organization Day in Durham. He was outside all day. It was moved outside to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And not clear when he might have fallen ill, but two large events there, and certainly cases that arose from that caucus. Some questions now that are going to be addressed probably by the governor, potentially at this briefing at 3 o'clock. When was Speaker Hinch last at work?
Okay, if you want to watch the rest of that video and that report, just go to WMUR.com, or we will share this link with you on the Riley King Network Facebook page after this broadcast. One pleads guilty in New Hampshire for role in massive DDoS cyber attack in 2016. Person who was a juvenile at the time of the attack will be sentenced in January. A person has pleaded guilty in New Hampshire in connection with a massive cyber attack that knocked out some of the internet's most trafficked websites in October of 2016. The person, who was a juvenile at the time of the attack, pleaded guilty to committing acts of federal juvenile delinquents, to conspiracy to commit computer fraud and abuse by operating a botnet and by internationally damaging a computer. The person's identity is being withheld by federal authorities because they were a juvenile at the time of the crime, officials said. The person was behind multiple distributed denial of service attacks in fall of 2016, officials said. These attacks utilize compromised devices to form what's called a botnet, which sends large volumes of traffic to certain servers with the purpose to shut them down. According to court documents in September and October of 2016, the individual and other created botnet, which was a variant of so-called Minier botnet for use in launching DDoS attacks. Minier infected Internet of Things devices such as Internet-connected video cameras and recorders and turned them into boots to be used to launch DDoS attacks. A news release from the U.S. Attorney General's U.S. District of New Hampshire office reads, on October 21st, 2016, officials said several DDoS attacks were launched against Sony PlayStation gaming network, knocking it offline for an extended period of time. The attacks also impacted New Hampshire-based Dyn, an internet trafficking management company, leading to significant outages that day for Sony, Twitter, Amazon, PayPal, Tumblr, Netflix, and the Southern New Hampshire University. As a result of the individual DDoS attack on Dyn, Sony, SNHU, and other entities, the individual suffered losses including lost advertising revenue and remediation costs. Sony estimated that its loss included approximately $2.7 million in net revenue, the news release said. The person was involved in conspiring with other hackers to launch attacks between 2015 and 2016, officials said. The person is scheduled to be sentenced on January 7th. No parts of New Hampshire seeing extreme drought at this point as conditions improve. Weekend storm helps improve drought conditions. A recent storm that brought significant amount of rain and snow to the Granite State improved the drought situation in New Hampshire, according to the United States Drought Monitoring Report released today. According to the report, there are no areas in New Hampshire seeing an extreme drought for the first time since early September. It's an improvement from where things were last week when 9.36% of the state was in extreme drought. Much of the population of southeastern New Hampshire that has been in extreme drought is now in severe drought. This covers an area that's about 9.66% of the state and covers part of Hillsborough, Rockingham, Stratford, and Merrimack counties. About 27.64% of the state, including Southern Lakes region, the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, and the coastline is now in moderate drought. The Northern Lakes region, Southern White Mountains, and Monadnock region across approximately 31.26% of the state have seen drought conditions improve to the point where the conditions are considerably abnormally normal and dry. The drought has ended, at least for now, in northern White Mountains and in North County. While conditions have improved in some parts of the state, still needs consistent rain for weeks or months to get out of this drought. This has been the worst drought in New Hampshire since 2016, when several areas of the state experienced an extreme drought from August through December. New Hampshire wasn't out of the drought altogether until May of 2017. Officials have recently worried about the possibility of multi-year drought. New Hampshire last endured one from 1964 to 1966. The report factors in precipitation that falls between last Tuesday 8 a.m. and this past Tuesday 8 a.m. Thief steals Kingston teen's dream of getting new snowmobile. Kingston teen planned to use the money from the sale of his dirt bike to buy a new snowmobile this weekend to ride during Christmas vacation, but the Sanborn Regional High School senior ended up empty-handed after the prospective buyer stole the bike during a test ride. Gas holder options to be presented online Monday morning. Liberty Utilities plan to apply for a demolish permit by the end of the year if somebody doesn't step up and pay for some of the preservation or restoration of the building. Pickup truck driver off-road into trees in Chichester. One person taken to the hospital after a crash near the town line with Concord on Thursday. Take a look at this photo right here. This is photo from the scene. Chichester fire and rescue teams and police were sent to a single vehicle crash on Route 4 on Thursday near the town line with Concord. Around 11:30 a.m., Capital Regional Dispatch received calls about a pickup truck that had been driven off the road and into the woods near the Weathervane restaurant. Dispatch reported witnesses said the driver was not cautious. When they arrived, firefighters found the pickup truck had driven into trees. Firefighters cut branches around the truck to gain access to the driver's side and began to attempt to extract the driver from the vehicle. The driver was taken to the hospital. And that does it for this Thursday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your Thursday evening. See you back here tomorrow for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and goodbye, everyone.